The brief today is actually a number of follow-ups to stories we've been following. So we're going to look at MicroStrategy upping its Bitcoin allocation, the real deal with the Oracle deal, and fraud accusations at Nikola. Let's start with MicroStrategy. CEO Michael Saylor tweeted this morning on September 14th, 2020, MicroStrategy completed its acquisition of 16,796 additional Bitcoins at an aggregate purchase price of $175 million. To date, we have purchased a total of 38,250 Bitcoins at an aggregate purchase price of $425 million, inclusive of fees and expenses. So what does this mean? To me, the only way that I think you can read this is as an extra doubling down on this strategy of moving cash reserves into Bitcoin. To me, this suggests that the initial market feedback to their original plan has been positive. When they initially made this announcement, they were only intending to buy $250 million worth of Bitcoin, not the $425 million that they've ended up with. And as much as I'd like to think that it's just because us and the Bitcoin crowd liked it, they wouldn't have done this. They wouldn't have allocated an additional $175 million unless the actual traditional financial markets liked it as well. Vijay Boyapati made a really interesting point and said that as Bitcoin's price continues to rise, MicroStrategy essentially becomes like a Bitcoin ETF, the majority of its market cap coming from its BTC holdings. Investor Arjun Balaji simply said, MicroStrategy? More like macrostrategy, am I right? Next up on the brief, what is this Oracle deal really? You guys know that I've been following the TikTok US saga pretty closely. I think that there are significant geopolitical implications of this. I think it says a lot about the state of the US-China trade war, and potentially, according to some, the US-China new Cold War. I think that it could set precedent for future deals. And as the show went in depth on yesterday, it seems like after months of thinking that it was going to be Microsoft that got this deal done, it ended up going to Oracle. Some of the reactions as we profiled on yesterday's show basically argued that these were such weird deals that it's not necessarily a good thing for Oracle and it's not necessarily a bad thing for Microsoft that they missed out. That was sort of the day one narrative. The day two narrative is digging a lot deeper on what the actual deal was and whether it smells kind of fishy. We still don't have a lot of information, but what it appears is that Microsoft wanted to do the deal fully, right? They wanted to actually acquire the algorithm behind TikTok. They wanted to move everything over, completely separate the company from ByteDance, its parent. In so doing, they would actually address the national security concerns theoretically at the heart of this whole hullabaloo. Mike Masnick and TechDirt, however, have put together all the info we have, and it doesn't really seem like Oracle is actually buying TikTok. Instead, they're simply going to be hosting TikTok on their cloud platform. This cloud platform is, of course, behind major competitors like Microsoft and Amazon. And the important thing is that this deal, if it is in fact just this hosting deal, would do effectively nothing to actually address the concerns. Alex Stamos, the former security head at Facebook, tweeted, "A deal where Oracle takes over hosting without source code and significant operational changes would not address any of the legitimate concerns about TikTok, and the White House accepting such a deal would demonstrate that this exercise was pure grift." The pure grift that Stamos and many others are accusing the Trump administration of is that Larry Ellison and Oracle have been huge supporters of the administration. Without getting into politics, it would be very disappointing to me to see this, as Stamos puts it, legitimate set of concerns about TikTok and the national security apparatus be reduced to yet another blustery backroom deal-making session. The precedent for future administrations, which I've expressed concern with before, would be even worse than we'd seen. Instead of instilling trust in an administration to actually address legitimate national security issues that intersect with business, we would instead have a precedent where those national security issues were just used as cloud cover to make a nice deal for someone who is pleasant to that administration. Whoever you like in office, whatever party you're affiliated with, that doesn't serve anyone in the long run. Last up on the brief today, let's look at fraud accusations with Nikola. Nikola is one of the companies that have been at the heart of the SPAC revolution. SPACs are, again, special purpose acquisition companies. They are an alternative to IPO, where basically a blank check company IPOs with the mandate to then go out and acquire a company, effectively taking them public through the acquisition, through the merger. Nikola, as you might guess from the very original name, is in the electric vehicle space and has had a ton of hype both from the electric vehicle side as well as from the SPAC side. Just recently, however, Hindenburg Research made accusations of fraud in a report that kicked up an absolute ton of dust. As Bloomberg put it, the report alleges that the maker of electric and hydrogen fuel cell heavy-duty vehicles made non-working products appear as fully functional. The report also alleges that Nikola staged misleading videos and told, quote, dozens of lies about its capabilities, partnerships, or products, among other issues. As you might expect, the CEO of Nikola called the report a hit job by incentive-aligned short sellers, but the SEC has now said that it is examining the accusations and markets are responding. I think that there are, of course, implications for SPACs as a whole and whether we like that vehicle and we continue to like that vehicle for taking companies public. Again, part of the whole idea is that it's a workaround to the very strict and difficult set of standards and due diligence processes that come with an IPO. But still, to me, the best point about this came from Nick Carter, who wrote, "The crypto industry is a constant source of wacky capers, but not a lot surpasses Nikola rolling a non-functional truck down a hill and implying that it was a working prototype."